Hi, 17th of August 26, 11:54 in the morning. As you can see, the bees are busy. It's about 17 degrees, so it's really nice. Why am I up here? Well, I came up on Friday and I've taken a lot of honey from them all year, and the majority have still got one super on. This one, 1B and 1C, have just brood boxes. I hefted them on Friday and found them light, so I need to give them some emergency feed. Now the emergency feed is 1:1, or maybe 800 grams of sugar to 1 litre of water, just so they can get it down. This is not a winter feed. This is not a heavy syrup. This is a very light syrup. They need that. I mean, you're on the cusp of starving. A hive, if you take too much off, or you leave them little stores and there's still a developing brood nest there. So maybe I was not diligent enough, and I'll have to come and feed them today. Looking at my records, they've all done very well indeed. I've got my Varroa counting sheet there. I started the 8th of August. That'll be a weekly inspection right through. I normally, when I take all the supers off at the end of August, almost do it every year for the last 30 years, the end of August, I start feeding with heavy syrup. Before I start feeding them, I put the strips in. This is where my Varroa monitoring sheet comes in. There are some hives not going to have strips. I've got 3 hives here that have 0 Varroa, and I use the Varroa counter on my website. Be interested, and I will assess the Varroa infestation in the hive. I will not put strips in where I don't need to put strips in, but I will still monitor. My winter feeding sheet. I know that may sound a bit anal, but I need to know how much I put in every single hive. Because I've got a good few hives here, I need to know exactly what I put in. Although I'll be hefting them. Every time I put 4 litres in, when I come back, I'll be hefting it. I'll look at my sheet and I will assess. I've got how many litres I put in, how heavy it was. That was just one stung me there. I will diligently look at my monitoring sheet for my winter feeding, 2:1 syrup. This is really the first time for a while that I've needed to do it as supplementary feed after taking the supers off, just to keep them going. But the end of August, that's when I start doing it. Strips in, English feeder on, 2:1, and I monitor it and I heft it. I also come back on the 5th of the 1st, 2026, and again I hefted them. All the feeders were off, obviously. They all come off on the 31st or 30th of September when it's appropriate, and I will heft them. And here I can see quite clearly there was 2 hefted medium. All the rest were heavy. 2 hefted medium, and I put 1 kilogram of fondant on top of the crown board on each one. They didn't touch it until mid-February. So it was a just in case. It wasn't a necessary feed, it was a just in case. So let's go and monitor the hives. I will be hefting every single hive. I've got, as I said, many supers on. They will be coming off next week, almost exact when I take them off. I'll be putting the strips in, I'll be putting the English feeder on. They'll get 4 kilos or 4 litres of heavy syrup, and that'll be it for a few days. Initially they take it down copiously, and it starts to tail off as you go through into September. Sometimes the feeding stops mid-September. They've had enough. But here I've had looking at the total for the September period, 22 litres, 23 litres, 21 litres, 17. There is one took only 9.5 litres. I think it's important to understand how much they take and monitor how much they take. I never lost any hives through the winter because, again, when I go in to take the strips out, I pick the appropriate day in October. Last year it was 15 degrees. I could go in and I took the strips out. They were great. They weren't excitable. There was no wind. There was nothing. And I took the centre frame out every single hive and examined it for eggs and larvae, cat brood. Every one I was happy with. So I know when I do it sometime in the middle of October, and I'll lay them down and I close the ring up, they are queen right. That's important to me, that they're queen right. So when I close them up, I know everything's okay. I will still come up every 2 weeks, examine them for anything that's trying to get in. There's a couple of badgers. There's I believe there's foxes. I've got a trail camera up here. There's a fox appears now and then, but the badger comes in as it does in my home, and it scrapes the front of the hive. You can see the 3 claw marks in front of the hive. I had one earlier this year, actually broke the front of a nook, the plastic guard in front of a nook. I had it ripped that off. I put my trail camera up and I find it. It came back for 2 or 3 nights until I took the front of the nook off, and then it didn't bother. So I'm going to feed this hive and that hive now on light syrup, 1:1, or in this case 800 grams to 1 litre of water, and so they can take it down quick. I know you may think it's a bit anal, but I also keep copious records of every inspection I do on the stands 1, 2 and 3, 1A, 2A, 3A and the rest. I'll be looking at my dry supers also. I've got a good few dry supers and I will have another 10 shortly, but these 10 will be put away in a plastic bag with some acetic acid on top for a week, and then defumigate for a week, but put back into a plastic bag for storage over the winter. I'll get on with it.